What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about the Jack Wolf Knives Midnight Jack. This is a coffin pattern Barlow designed by Ben Belkin of Jack Wolf Knives. That's his company. He's the designer. Man, this thing's beautiful. If you just want to skip the rest of this review, just go get one. Well, they're all out, but what I will say is watch out for any on the secondary market. For me, this is the absolute favorite, and I do have all four of the Jack Wolf Knives patterns and blade shapes. This is the one for me that I fell in love with, and I haven't stopped carrying it. I wanted to, but I just kept carrying it, and I eventually was like, you know what, I have some other reviews that I have to get going on, so this one's going down. This knife has a 2.9-inch blade of M390 steel. It weighs 2.4 ounces. Price is at $280 for the micarta versions, or $300 for this carbon fiber version. And it's, wow. I don't know what, I don't know that he necessarily discloses. These are made in China, in fact, and I don't know that he discloses it. I don't care in this particular case. If they're an American-made manufacturer, just from what I've known of dealing with Ben on Instagram Lives and stuff and asking him questions, that he would have an American manufacturer make this, but none are available to actually produce the great stuff that he's designing. So, you know what? Props to him, and actually no hold back on that one. You know, in terms of some comparisons, alternatives, and they are few and far between, just because this knife is, I mean, honestly, to a degree, it's in a league of its own. But I'm going to pull up one of the other Jack knives, or not Jack knives, but the Jack Wolf knives. The laid back Jack is definitely something that has similar blade patterning. If you take a look at the edges of these, the laid back Jack is a more true Wharncliffe, where it has that full distal taper up to there. But what you do get is the levelness of kind of a sheep's foot, but then you have that nice swedge there. So that one is definitely kind of in the running as an alternative. Again, similarly priced. On the lower budget end, I think the Rough Rider Reserves, the swayback is actually not, I think it's called a swayback. It performs okay and admirably. It's a D2 steel knife made in China, and this one went for $65. These are, again, you're talking about different price classes, and there's a reason for it. But let's jump into this one. Let's jump into an overview of it. Normally I don't do an overview. I'll go right into the pros and the cons, but this is an interesting knife. This has two different pull weights. The initial pull weight is about a 7.5 to the half stop, and then from the half stop to the full open is about a 9. It's a very robust pull on that one. I did ask my wife to try to open this one. She could not. So it takes a fairly stout hand to grab this one open. Not so much from there, but boy, to the full open, one of those things to keep in mind. But I actually love that. If you think about what that represents, is I want to be able to open this knife, and then that distance to there represents the reverse, which is a 9 also on the spring, which is fantastic. Very, very strong. Yeah, this is, I'll tell you, man, in short, if you're in Europe and you can't have a locking knife, just get this one. This is going to be the top of the top. Like I said, these patterns will cycle and come back through. So, don't give up on it. But yeah, really kind of a good thing. The full pull nail nick is very handy on this one. I appreciate that over just the kind of the more traditional nail nick. It not so much that you end up using it with your nail. You can in any location, but what it does is it gives you a second point of friction. That top crisp spine there, in addition to that great full pull. I really appreciate that. That's a fantastic thing. The top swedge, take a look at that thing. Whoops, sorry. The top swedge, if you take a look at the taper of that, it goes right into the coffin patterning there. And hopefully light catches this one properly. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. So the top swedge is really nice. The 3-ringed integral titanium bolster is very nice. If you take a look, basically the entire thing has the spring and then the integral bolster there. So it's one solid chunk, and then you have these nice little carbon fiber overlays. So yeah, really, really good there. Speaking of, these covers are perfectly mated. You cannot find any gaps anywhere. Literally, both sides. You can't find it. And from whatever I've watched a lot of other reviews on these on YouTube, nobody else can find them. So the fitting of the covers, perfect. The full height hollow ground is not only makes for an easier pull on there, makes for an amazing slicing capability. So if you look, it's kind of a thick spine there, but oh my gosh, look at that thing. It absolutely insane, the way that hollow grind comes down. I mean, this thing literally measures in the negatives behind the edge. It's so thin behind the edge. I did have to sharpen this one, and I will say that the M390, I had no problem. You know, I'm not a metallurgist scientist, but I had no problems sharpening. You know, there was a little bit of asymmetry on the sharpening of the fine edge bevel. It was 20 degrees on one side and 22 on the other. No problems with that. 2-degree difference, not a problem, really. And then the sharpening choil. Having had to sharpen it, absolutely, just very much appreciated to get that. That's a lot of sharpenings, I can tell you, from the little bit that I had to do to get this thing back to, I won't say razor sharp, but to very sharp, very, Smoky Mountain Knife Works paper sharpening. Yeah, super much appreciate that. Let's jump into the pros of this, as if that wasn't enough pros. How many nanny state European knives or countries, which ban locking knives are, can you say that this would be useful in? This is extremely useful. So for my friends in Europe, get it. Find your way to get one of these. You know what? This is one of those where I don't know if Ben's going to be going through all of the models first and then coming back to some of them, or if he's going to kind of loop back beforehand. But for me, this Midnight Jack is the one. I guarantee this one is if I were in Europe, this is the knife I would want. Literally, because I think it would be sub 3-inch, non-locking, usable everywhere, and it can do all the things that I need to do without question. So, I can open this with gloves. How many slip joints can you open with gloves? Not many. How many slip joints do you know can throw a spark from a ferro rod? Yeah, there is a small price to pay with this extremely crisp spine, but I tell you, it's worth it for me. I can see how some hands it would be a little bit sensitive to, and there's going to be a drawback we'll talk about on the cons on this one. But yeah, seriously, think about how few slip joints can throw a spark from a ferro rod. Literally, I can't think of anything more, but any more superlatives. This knife is nearly perfection. It's not perfect though, so let's talk about the couple cons that I did identify. I would love to see, just personally, the full pull. Really honor the left-handers out there. So you have this nice full pull here. It doesn't, I think, go into any of the integrity of the structure of the blade. Put one over here. You know what? Honor those lefties. I just a personal preference, but maybe I'm just a symmetrist as well. So that's one of those things. I think a slight chamfering, just ever so slight, of these edges with this coffin pattern. I love the coffin pattern. It's very comfortable in hand. However, you have some extremely sharp edge meeting there, and this is one of those where maybe I should have gotten the micarta one. Micarta is going to be a little bit softer than the rigidity of the carbon fiber, but that is one where I would say just the slightest amount. I might actually end up taking these covers off. I believe those are titanium screws. Take those off, mold this with some silicone, possibly try to make some of my own, and then I could maybe just do the slightest bit of, I would probably have not the best marriage up here, where the bolster meets the covers, but I could maybe round those a little bit just to make some comfort on that one. So there's that. You know, and then really the last thing I would say is the assisted carving on this one. When I was carving it and you're trying to giving it assisting, that's where this sharp spine does pay the penalty price. So you could actually throw a ferrospark, but it's not the greatest at kind of doing assisted carving. Otherwise, carving's fantastic from either, you know, the hammer grip here, saber grip. It's not bad either. It's really just when you need to do some of that assisted carving. Yeah, not the best. Overall, obviously I'm gushing about this thing going on forever. So I would just say, I wouldn't say hold out for this one. If a great Wharncliffe / sheep's foot is in your wheelhouse, and you like slip joints, and or you have restriction of sub 3-inch blade, you want something very light, 2.4 ounces. That's basically like a G10 bug out. I didn't want to review this knife because I know what it means as a knife reviewer. It means that I'm going to have to move on to the next one. And that's why I've been holding off on this one since it came out. So I hope it was of use. Like I said, these are not available now. They will become available. And this is absolutely a championship model. I mean, this is literally like Olympic level slip joint knife making here, from my perspective. I do hope that this review was of use. If it was, I appreciate the like and subscribe, and have a great day. Take care now. What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about the Jack Wolf